In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. طبعا feel free to eat while we talk, to take coffees, basbousa, drink, whatever you want. Feel free also to raise your hand and share your point of view and comment and question as well. Our talk today is a bit يعني touchy, and I will see how deep we can go based on the interaction, because it talks about insecurities, and insecurities is a huge, مش huge, is a massive talk. So today we will touch the surface and see how it goes. Before we start, obviously the meeting is about lessons in life, so it can apply to relationships, it can apply to human interaction, it can apply, but it has to also do with our spiritual foundation, because whatever we say in the church, we kind of baptize the talk in the Bible and in the church's dogma and tradition, so it come up as a Christian talk. The presentation will go in multiple points كده outline. First one is, what is insecurity? How does insecurity manifest in relationship? And we're gonna see the types of insecurities, not only relationship. How does insecurity impact the relationship's stability and well-being? And how to deal with insecurities. Then at the end we're gonna have conclusion and question and answer. What is insecurity? يعني إيه insecurity? I know that Miret is ready to jump and say something.
Always.
Oh, why?
You want me to do the talk? I'm so excited.
No, I see that you are excited already. What is insecurity? إيه يعني إيه insecurity?
Feeling of maybe like a lack of safety in something when it's like insecurity about yourself. It could be about something specific, but just like a lack of enoughness or security.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. It's the lack of confidence. That is what insecurity is. Obviously, it's feeling of uncertainty or inadequacy that drives anxiety. Meaning what? Meaning it is not just a feeling that I am not good enough. No, it is when that feeling started to make me anxious. Anxious about what? About anything. Because insecurity, although it has to do with how I was raised, it manifests in job, in work, in career, in church, in leadership, and it affects and haunts everything. Remember when we had a talk about inner child? Insecurity is the inner child tool to haunt your life. We can put it like that. Type. In other words, insecurity is when you find yourself short on self-confidence or self-esteem. So basically, if you feel like low self-esteem, that's an indication of insecurity. The moment I mentioned the title to Tasoni last night, right away she said, okay, we all need a talk about self-esteem. Although I didn't say the word self-esteem خالص, but insecurity is يعني coined with self-esteem. What is insecurity again? What do you think? يعني when I say insecurity, it's the absence of feeling secure. What is secure? Safety. Bravo عليك. It's when I feel like I don't have any safety. Imagine with me like you are walking on the roof, but there is no fence. And imagine that the level of your insecurity is basically rising your roof higher and higher. So if you are feeling insecure, but you're feeling that I'm not safe to the point that I can't even breathe, that's like walking on a high riser or a skyscraper with no fence. Now imagine I feel insecure, but I'm not good enough, but I'm getting there, I'm improving, I still have hope. Your high riser is just a 2-floor. You see what I mean? What is insecurity again? And I like always to put a lot of emphasis on the definition because understanding the definition will actually dictate how we envision the topic. Go ahead.
Sometimes it's something that's like been imposed on you, like an expectation that's been imposed on you, or a way, like someone has said to you something
Bravo
about
عليك.
how you are, who you are, that like
برافو عليك.
that, yeah, that's your safety.
So I will paraphrase what you are saying. So insecurity in that case will be the views of self based on how others impose that view on you, especially if they tell you they are not good enough. Go ahead.
It's a perspective like birth and experience.
Bravo عليك. It's a perspective. And it has to do with our birth and experience, meaning it's nature and nurture. Because I could be born insecure, most probably I will be coming up to this life insecure. Go ahead.
Yeah, like one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is how kids don't know anything and they're like so smart and they have good instincts and they love joy and they love sharing, they love all these things. But they're just these little guys who don't know anything, and so be adults around and have to teach them all this stuff. And so I think in like the way that we raise children quite often, and especially like because of all the pressures that people have, okay, everyone has to work and everyone has to do this. Kids don't like stay on their mom's bodies as often, you know, and
Yeah.
don't have all these things. And I think security and safety in that way is like actually a very somatic thing as well. Where when we have people around us who are just like, you are safe no matter what, then we can have that space to feel really secure. And so like quite often I think insecurity is something that you can just be like, you can be really focused on that thing, like, oh, if I need to change the way my hair looks and then I'll feel safe. Instead, if you go, I am held and loved in my wholeness no matter what, because we have God and we have
Yes.
each other. But also, like, when we're talking about words from other people, making us feel insecure, those words can also make us feel secure, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like sometimes we need people to mirror back.
Absolutely. If I put it, go ahead.
No,
No.
just that like insecurity is something that like plagues us all because we all feel very alone and scared. But like if we just think into the thing of like actually it's okay to be me and I love me and people love me and I love others, then you can find that space to be like, and it's okay to be this way, even if it's not the way that I think is perfect.
Let me put it in my own words to reflect what you were saying because this is so beautiful. Insecurity is when I search for my own value outside myself. And for that, I will only feel secure when I find what I search for. That's where I hold valuable, which means, go ahead.
Can I play on that?
Yes.
It's not just trying to find your value outside of yourself. It's because sometimes we need that. Oh, goodness. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need a person to say, hey, you're not a gross little guy. You're beautiful. And then you're like, oh, okay. I think I believe you until it happens enough. But I think insecurity happens when we rely only on the external.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's because you actually connect the value outside yourself. And you will only feel secure if you find that makes you valuable. Yet when you find it, because it has nothing to do with your own self-worth, you feel insecure.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful one. Go ahead.
Like, I think insecurity is when you question yourself
Bravo عليك.
about everything you're doing.
Bravo عليك. I was waiting for that. It's when you continuously question everything, question every decision. You're actually hesitant. You cannot make sure that you are good enough, confident. So basically, you walk around and ask people for reassurance more than you should, because sometimes we need external reassurance. But when it becomes your pattern, that's insecurity. Bravo, Arik. Eitan, go ahead.
I think, and just to add to that, life experiences get us to sometimes question ourselves because of the consequence of whatever action that we took. So
Absolutely.
make a connection between the experience and the consequence that follows.
Bravo. Insecurity could stem from our experience, especially if they are including failed experience. And when that becomes who we are. So we become so anxious and we don't feel good enough to take another initiative because we are afraid of failure. That's beautiful. Go ahead.
But when we feel held and secure, we can be like, oh, actually, life is a process, and we are always learning, and we are so smart and adaptable that when we do something that doesn't work for us, if we put all of our energy into the shame of like, oh no, I'm not this, then you don't have the space for the creation and the part of you that's like, oh well, you know, it's okay that this happened this way, and or it's not okay that it happened this way, and this is how I can react. But the most destructive thing we can do is be mean to ourselves and shameful.
Absolutely.
We don't have finite energy, or we have finite energy. So where are we putting that energy?
You know why I said absolutely in this way?
Tell me.
Because the word shame is basically different than the word guilt. I feel guilty when I do something wrong. I feel shameful when I am wrong. And basically bringing that, whatever failure experience or whatnot, to my own identity, that creates insecurity. Bravo, Alik. Go ahead, ya doctor.
I think from my opinion side that the insecurity or the insecure, when you are insecure, that when you are under pressure.
Sure.
Because the security gives you the safety as well as a relaxation.
Absolutely.
Like as an example that you also said that if you are jumping, climbing up to a roof to fix the roofing, for example.
Yeah.
But if you are not professional, so you don't have the safety that you're going to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
So this is insecure, so you are unsafe, so you are irritable.
Yes.
But when you are a professional, so that means there is a safety.
Absolutely. So when insecurity started to haunt your confidence to the point that it makes you even unsafe, or when you feel anxious because of unsafety as a result of your insecurity. That's beautiful. ايه تاني؟
Self-fulfilling prophecy kind of idea.
Sure, self-fulfilling prophecy. If in the Bible there is a lovely verse that says a fool says that the lion is on the way, meaning a fool wouldn't leave the house because he thinks that there is a lion on the way who's gonna eat him. And security will actually play with safety to prevent you from taking initiatives, and basically it will ruin your life. Bravo, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Go ahead.
Just an example of that is in the springtime, I was sitting outside in the front yard for 4 days, and no one said hi to me. And I was like, why aren't they saying hi to me? And so then I decided that I would start saying hi to them because, you know what, everyone is like looking straightforward, and they're like, but as soon as you say hi to them, their face goes, hi.
Oh, yes.
And so, like, people are so afraid of each other and quite isolated, and we have this fear. But I started to do that, and then now I know my neighbors in a way where I feel more, because we can build security in lots of ways. And
Yes.
to be inside ourselves can be through having a network of just people who will say hi to you, and then, oh, we have a little conversation about this, or, oh, this person needs this support. Or, like, it's so cute. I had this one neighbor, and a double rainbow happened, and I had just been talking to him, and I ran over to his house, and I knocked on his door. I said, "Chris, there's a double rainbow."
Whoa.
And like he came out. And it was just so nice, and I think that that's really helped me because.
You know, I have a friend of mine actually who suffers a lot from loneliness and isolation, and she is an amazing girl, the expert when it comes to computer science. She does amazing things with computer. So I told her one day, I'm gonna give you an exercise to do. قالت لي what? قلت لها I want you just to go and say hi to people without them approaching you. She like spent 3-4 days trying to do that, and she was anxious and so forth. And then when she did that, she called me and said, Abuna, it works. I feel so happy about myself. Yeah, well, sometimes people are shy to say hi. An insecure person will think that, why don't these people approach me? Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe they heard rumors about me. Maybe they don't like my face. Maybe I'm smelly. Maybe I...
Or we think those things about them.
Or,
You know?
and they don't want to approach with apps. But an insecure person will refer the fault to to himself. But that's a beautiful thing. A self-fulfilling prophecy, actually there is the opposite of the self-fulfilling prophecy to gain security, is when you do what we call the law of attraction. Right? You say, today I'm gonna be happy, I'm gonna meet people, I'm gonna say hi, they're gonna like me, blah 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 blah. And you do that, you go and do it, and you enjoy it. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when you say, for example, oh, today is gonna be a bad day. So the day starts when you broke a glass. Oh my gosh, I thought it would be a terrible day. You go out, because it's a terrible day in your mind, you're gonna actually like trip. Oh my gosh, it's a terrible day, even tripped, and you're gonna lose مش عارف ايه, and you're gonna speed up, and you're gonna, because you are shaking. Insecurity makes you unsafe, makes you looking forward to the terrible, the problem. Go ahead. Okay, sorry. Yes يا حبيبي.
يعني law of attraction دي one just a question.
Yes.
When you're saying if you're telling yourself you're gonna have a bad day, you're gonna have a bad day.
Absolutely. Because when you say that, your brain takes this information and sets the stage for a bad day. So everything happens to you that day will be translated in your mind as bad day. Or, let me put it in a different way, عشان أبقى fair, you're only gonna see what bad things happening to you. Because many things could happen beautiful, but because you think it is gonna be a bad day, you will only focus on the bad day. Like driving the car and thinking of Mercedes, you're gonna only see Mercedes. Or you're gonna think about what an amazing day. Everything around you will be amazing, even if there was like some rain. Oh my gosh, the rain is so beautiful. It's because you set the stage, perception. فاهمني اقصد ايه؟ طب منال وبعدين
انا بس كومنت صغير على حكايه
Yeah.
الباد داي. وكمان لما انا بقنع نفسي ان ده باد داي ما بتصرفش بوزيتيفلي او بفكر كويس وايزلي فبيترن اوت ان هو فعلا بيبقى فيري باد داي.
Absolutely.
يعني فبقنع نفسي
That's the self-fulfilling prophecy right away. اتفضل يا دكتور.
If you are insecure, I believe, like Lina said, that if you are insecure, you are horrible. You are not getting the right decision to take.
Yes.
You are not in a good position to decide what you're gonna do.
Absolutely.
You'll be irritable. Oh no, I'm not gonna go out because I have to. I will might get an accident. No, so I have to stay here. So what's he? Oh, if he will listen to the rinking bell on his door, he'll go, oh my God, man, what's going on? What's going on? Because he is insecure.
There is expectation of insecurity. Come on.
All bad things.
Absolutely.
you imagine.
The Bible says the person, as he thinks of himself, so he is. If I think that's going to be a bad day, it will be a bad day. In spirituality, if you say that I'm going to fall in sin, you will fall in sin. But if you're going to say, I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me, you will do everything through Christ who strengthens you. Go ahead.
And just to like build on what everyone's talking about, I think the shift from thinking that something is bad or like a day is bad isn't just like willpower and force. It's like acknowledgement, because that's your body and your brain and your mind, your feelings, all these things are information for us, and we don't need to like get mad at them for happening, but you can say, oh, this thing like really made me feel bad or sad, or I'm in a really bad mood right now, and acknowledge that as true, and
Sure.
and then you can how do I care for myself in this?
Absolutely.
And that's where the shift happens, where it's like, don't be mad at yourself for being in a bad attitude, because that will just make it worse.
You're absolutely right. And that's a lovely thing, because honestly speaking, when we talk about security, it doesn't mean like you live in a lie. No. When you are secure, you will experience the good and the bad. But your reaction to the bad is not going to define your identity. It's something that happens to you and you're gonna go out of it. That's security. Go ahead.
Just to add on that too.
Yes.
I find the brain doesn't really think very well in the negative.
Yes.
So like if you're walking across a tall object or a ladder or a bridge, and you say to someone, "Don't look down,"
Oh,
they're gonna want to look down.
Absolutely.
Instead you say,
Yes.
look forward, keep looking forward.
Yes.
And that kind of helps that cognitive shift to kind of just focus on something that.
It's like a filter that you put in front of your brain, and the brain will always look through that filter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We tend to tune more to the negative, and then we become captive, and then we see everything through that negative lens. And that's even in our spirituality, in our relationship. If I say, oh, God is gonna judge me, he doesn't love me, I will always look at God as like a monster. But if I know that God is so loving, he hates the sin, and for that he wants me to be pure. His love surpasses blah 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 blah. I'm gonna avoid the sin not because of fear, but because of love. And when I am weak to the point that I can fall in sin, I might remind myself of punishment and judgment, but that will be to bring me back, and that's the reality. Because it's not just a green, loving thing. No, reality means positive and negative. My reaction to the positive and the negative will be secure. Bravo, Ali. Go ahead.
And then, like, when thinking about something like sin, we often think still in this black and white, where when you do it, you're bad, and when you don't do it, you're good. But really, like, it can be something more like, what is the reason that this thing that you're told not to do this thing, or you're told to be this way? Is it because you shouldn't be putting harm into the world? Is that why? Is it because when you have more discipline in this way, your life is richer in this way? Like, it's instead of looking at the black and white and the negatives of it, you can look at the kind of more
balanced.
Complex.
Yes.
Complex. And I think that that's also where, when you're feeling secure, you're able to explore the complexity of it all instead of being like, this is good and I'm bad, and this is good and I'm bad, or whatever. And so then, like, it always comes back to safety, but it also comes back to care, because security requires, community and love and all these things. And so I think it's just like a really fun little ecosystem of, like, how do we serve ourselves in this way and others, and it's not one before the other, it's all kind of at the same time and to different degrees.
You are playing music to my ears now. You know why? Because my model in everything, I call it a holistic model. You cannot just take one and ignore the other. Whole. The person is a whole. And a whole person doesn't ignore negativity, doesn't ignore bad things, but his reaction to that will be different than the other person. The other person will look at, or the insecure person will look at the positive and always predict bad outcome. Whereas people say it differently. They say a secure person will find the solution to every problem. An insecure person will find a problem to every solution. It's beautiful. How do you know that your talk is amazing and the speaker is magnificent? When you have this kind of interaction. Right?
Absolutely right.
Just kidding. No, I just want to feel insecure. Yeah.
I just want to continue like
Yes, go ahead.
The gentleman said, because if you are insecure, that means you are not stable psychologically, at least.
Yeah.
So you might feel, this is related to medicine, what he said,
Yes.
that he will have a high blood pressure. So don't go out if you live in a high rise. So don't look down, otherwise you can find yourself on the ground floor in 1 second. And then they will say, oh, that's he committed suicides. But actually it's not. It's due to the lacking of blood pressure. So he feel dizzy and he feel unstable
No.
to control himself. This is because of the
Insecurity. Because insecurity would lead to, I'm not good enough, I'm hopeless. People are better off me dead. Like, they will be better if I die. I don't want to share much in this, but you can't imagine the comments sometimes I hear, how people and why people want to end their lives. I listen and I say, is this how cheap we think our life is? But you're absolutely right. It's mostly insecurity. Yeah, go ahead.
So often too, I think we just don't say the nice thing to the person around us.
Oh.
And that is such a protective factor, to just say, oh, I see you, and this is a nice thing about you. And then
Yes.
you can be like, oh, okay. And that causes that connection. And
Absolutely,
that's
Habib.
attractive too.
Sometimes all it takes is just a recognition and validation. Yes, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, based on, like, I was gonna build on that complexity of reframing
Yeah.
negative thoughts, you know, it's just this, your thoughts kind of create the feeling, right? And then the feelings kind of connect with the action. So if you're telling someone something positive, you know, you're changing maybe the way that they're thinking about themselves. And
Yes.
changes the way that they feel about themselves. And then it kind of lends itself to behaving a little differently.
Whether we like it or not, we are the product of the surroundings.
Yeah.
And sometimes our surroundings is harmful. But a secure person will guard himself. Obviously, it will hurt the surrounding, but he will be resilient enough to come up from that hurt and disconnect his identity from that surround. Go ahead.
And then the other kind of way to look at that is, while we are the product of our surroundings, we are also our surroundings.
We are ourselves, yes.
And like we are surrounding others, and we can create. And no matter, in every moment, you're making a decision, and it can be something that's like creative, neutral, or harmful. And it can be something so easy that's creative, and like, and I think that's important too, because like, the world is so punishing and hard, and it tells you, ooh, you have to suffer and then you'll be safe. But I think it's nice to fall into the thing of like, you are safe now, and we can give each other these things now, and we can create this change with very small things.
That's
like,
beautiful.
even in my life, I've
Yeah.
seen the change really quickly when I start to say to a person, oh, hey, oh, by the way, you should be nicer to yourself about this thing. It's not that bad. And they're like, oh, thank you. You know,
That's
permission.
beautiful. That's really
It changes
beautiful.
everything.
Because as you said, Habibi, yes, we are the product of the surrounding, but we are the creator of that surrounding. Because again, people say that every person lives in the projection of his own mind. And the environment surrounding me is a projection of my thinking. If I think that people love me, I will feel that they love me. If I think that people hate me, I will feel that they hate me. And honestly speaking, I am a contributor. Sometimes I have no control of what people say, yet I still have control how I perceive that. I love what you said, Habib. That's beautiful. Obviously, we are still at slide number 1.
Didn't get to the finishing.
Yeah, but it sounds like slide number 1 was attractive, yeah.
Good slide.
And it's all about what is insecurity. Like, any more comment about the definition?
Don't give me that invitation. I was gonna stop talking.
No, actually, we don't care about the quantity as much as we care about what we say, quality-wise, interaction. That's what matters. Even if we don't have to end like 100 slides today, that's fine. I can go home and I will sleep. I'm secure enough. Okay, so possible causes of insecurity. Sometimes all of you said that it is the lack of family emotional support, or what Miret shared earlier about how surroundings shape us and form us, and sometimes they harm us. A wife who lives with a husband who always critical and always criticize what she does, always make her feel like she is not good enough, that will create an insecure wife. A child who is always criticized by mom and dad about how he dresses, how he cut his hair, how he put his clothes in the closet, how he do the bedding and all of that, honestly speaking, he will be insecure. A husband who's always criticized and made feel not good enough no matter what he does, always feeling guilty that he is running short or lacking something. That's an insecurity. It will create insecurity. So basically the first cause is usually family. And why we say usually family? Because family is the closest environment and the earliest one. We interact with our family as early as babies. And the word security has to do a lot with the word attachment, and both of them, they are somehow established through the parent-child parent-child relationship. Another reason, obviously, طبعا I'm gonna mention this, but feel free to talk. يعني I don't want you to stop talking. Another reason is what we call lack of physiological needs satisfaction. يعني إيه؟ You feel sometimes insecure when you are always in need of the necessity. يعني people مثلا who are in development countries, you look at مثلا Somalia, blah 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 blah. They don't have the basic needs. Sometimes people go out search. يعني they don't even have garbage can to search for food, and sometimes it's very drought. Like there is nothing to find. Finding the needs, the basic needs by itself create a sense of security. Imagine with me a child of neglect, a child who is left at home, there is no food, always hungry, mommy doesn't provide, daddy doesn't provide. How do you think that this child will ever feel secure if that basic need is not there? Remember, يعني I'm sorry to share that, but in faraway country, not in Canada here, I was once over the phone with someone, and يعني I heard a story that happened to a lady when she was a child. She was going in a trip, like a vacation trip, but in that vacation trip, she was forced to be hungry, fasting for like maybe a day or two, because her daddy felt very insecure about spending money. She was a little girl. Now she is a lady. But she still feels so insecure when it comes to food. Somehow, what we do in early childhood experience will shape our views of the future. When it comes to feeling security, these needs, when they are not provided correctly, they will create insecurity. Go ahead.
I just wanted, because you were mentioning different countries and stuff, and I guess I'm just zooming out a little, which is like the benefit also of like, and the parent stuff and all this stuff. Okay, let me say that stuff first. No, let me say this.
Let me start by, you can say, hey, my name is Miret. I have a very loving parents.
I do.
What I say is not gonna reflect my relationship with parents.
I'm like doing
And then go
great.
ahead.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
The proof is in the pudding. But, no, I think what I was gonna say is like.
For you.
I think what I was going to say is just that like, because you were saying, oh, it's not in Canada and insecurity, and like sometimes it's the structures around us that cause these insecurities. And like here in Canada, there's a lot of that. There are a lot
Yes.
of groups that are really like not given what they need, and that causes more problems. And then also there are like rhetoric about different people, and this. And so one thing that I really like is that when you create more security for yourself and you learn these things, and you learn where insecurity comes from, but you also learn that like security is buildable and it comes from compassion.
Yes.
So much compassion.
Absolutely.
Compassion for others. Then you build your capacity to then be able to be like, oh, and also these people are suffering in this way and it doesn't make sense, and we should make a change about it. And that's where it's really nice to, because then that creates conditions where people are more easily able to find security, and that's how you change things.
That's beautiful, Ahid. And that's why we have sometimes mentioned from here and there so that we can create that kind of compassion towards others. What I'm saying is why insecurity develop and how it stems or where it stems from. Sometimes in some situations, and you'll be surprised also when I say this is not in Canada, but sometimes some families in Canada could be rich families, yet they have that kind of feeling of insecurity. And they impose that feeling of insecurity even when it comes to physiological needs. I have stories, but I'm shy to share because it might flag some people. ايه تاني؟ ايه عايز تقولي كومنت؟
The thing that I remember is the compassion thing.
تحب تقول حاجة؟ اتفضل.
It's just that when you're
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Really, like every person is a person who's learning, and so like at any moment in time, while you might be harmed in some way,
Absolutely.
Oh, this is actually
That's
everyone's
why
suffering this.
that's why Jesus actually established that sense of togetherness. Today, in today's reading, we have 5,000 people and only 5 loaves and 2 fish. So Jesus miraculously managed to feed everybody, to create that sense of compassion and bonding, and to always let people feel secure. Do you think why Jesus later on, when he had a complaint, he talked to the disciples saying, "Oh, don't you remember the 5 loaves and the 2 fish? Don't you remember the other story?" So Jesus saying, let your security not be dependent on the physical aspects, but on me. And that's a beautiful thing. And did you ever need anything? They said, no. Along khalas, why are you worried today? Do you see what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. Another reason that causes insecurity is something called the lack of emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is basically when we are walking in this life and we come across a bad situation, an experience. For whatever reason, something happened to our family or to myself. I lost my work, I lost my car, I lost my friends, I relocated to a different city. My husband is diagnosed by a disease. My daughter has a positive مش عارف ايه. So something that happened like a crisis. When that happens, how you react to that and how you bounce back to stability, if you don't have that strength to bounce back, it will create insecurity. And if you have that, and that it goes with the other point you mentioned about reality talk. We need to understand that we go through experience. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. But going through the negative and bouncing back, realizing the negative, but knowing also that I'm not alone, going through the failure, but knowing that this is not the end of the story, that's emotional intelligence. If it doesn't exist, it creates a insecurity. Sometimes, actually, the lack of openness, yani the lack of openness, we are not comfortable, as we said, to experience, to endeavor new things. Let's say, as I said, or as White said earlier, it creates a sense of isolation and loneliness. The verse that says the lion is at the door, or the lion is outside. The lazy man says the lion is outside. What does it mean? It means somebody who is insecure will always remain without experiencing something new because he's afraid of an imaginary lion. I don't want to take a language course because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. Give it a try. I don't want to go apply for a job because I'll be rejected. People here are racist. No, they are not. I don't want to go and give a public speak because people will laugh at me. No, actually give it a try. Try. Be encouraged. The moment you set the stage that, oh, I'm not open to do something new, this is the moment you are creating a sense of insecurity. Just go out, experience. I remember when we were in Sweden, Tasoni, actually, the Swedish language is one of the hardest. But Tasoni decided that I want to go to the university, I want to work, I want to do. So she said, let me go and take Swedish classes. I am used to be more advanced than her when it comes to languages, when it comes to learning languages fast.
Everything I want.
But
I was looking to say that.
But when we were in Sweden, for some reason I was so busy, and all of a sudden one day we are sitting and she's sharing with me what she did, and I found that she is like 2 or 3 levels ahead of me. I felt extremely disappointed because she managed to pass me in that. Not myself. No, I'm just kidding. No, what I mean is another person could have said, I don't need to go out, I don't need to take that terrible language. But no, let's go, let's try. And actually, it's beautiful. Today I was chatting with someone and I told him, you have some times today, like in summer, yes. Why don't you learn something new? Why don't you learn anything new? It will create a sense of security because it makes you think that I am able to learn and I'm able to develop, right? Why are you
Because
so
I'm doing
happy?
that this summer. Like, I started farming this summer,
Farming, okay.
and it's a very new way of
Are you
life.
raising cattle and chickens and
No,
all?
it's just
Okay.
vegetables. Thank God. I don't really like to deal with poop. But I mean, we do. It's fertilizer, but it's like helped me to learn how like how humans learn outside of school. I mean, you're not being so hard on yourself. And I just wanted to say about the lack of openness thing. I think another way of saying it too is perfectionism.
Yes, that's coming. Yes,
And that's, like,
absolutely.
so hard.
Yes, and actually sometimes being perfectionist could be an indication of insecurity, as we're gonna see. Because you always feel like you are not good enough, so you are trying to always make sure that everything is 100%. But when that happens, it creates insecurity.
It's almost like worrying about challenging your own negative perception on something.
Absolutely. Or your acceptance of success is always 100%, not 90, not 95. Type. Lack of agreeableness. An underlying mental health condition, as we said, some personality disorder, depression, anxiety, and so forth will do that. Go ahead. اللي قبل كده
المنتال هيلث
اي
لو التريتمنت بتاع المنتال هيلث ضل الانسكيورتي هيروح ولا لازم يتعالج برضه؟
ما insecurity يعني it can be just therapy talk by changing how you think, how you view, how you accept good enough is good enough, or when it is driven by a disorder it has to be treated by medication. But neither the medication nor the therapy will work if you always think of yourself that you are not good enough. Insecurity will end when you start to feel secure about yourself. Obviously, it takes a long process, but it is important because if insecurity exists in relationship, it will destroy the family. And that's, I think, the whole idea that we are trying to talk about. But obviously, we spend more time in the first slide than we should, but that's okay. We have so many part twos we're gonna talk about, but this will be one of them for sure. Type. It stems from sometimes traumatic event, experience. I went through an experience and that's why I'm insecure. Patterns of previous experience, social conditioning, local environment, and so forth. When it comes to the types of insecurities, I'm gonna go through them quickly and we'll be done عشان وقت أكبر. أول حاجة, there's something called relationship insecurity. This has to do a lot with attachment. Because whether we like it or not, the family that we experience at the early stage of our life is always going to impact the family we form in the future. Whether it will be similar or we will try to do the opposite of what we saw, or we will try somehow to be similar but opposite, which we call confused, ambiguous, and so forth. We definitely talked a lot about attachment before, but because attachment is how you feel secure at the early stage of your life. If you feel like surroundings can be trusted, this man called himself dad and this woman called herself mom are trustworthy, they are there to protect me, you will be a secure person in the future and your relationship with your wife or your husband will be secure. If not, you might be actually creating a very anxious relationship. And it is a terrible thing. Because from that comes a jealousy, comes insufficiency, comes disagreement, comes never good enough, comes criticizing. كل الحاجات دي, everything comes from this. There's something called job insecurity. What is job insecurity? When you always feel not good enough, but you always feel that what you also have today is not good enough. So it's either I feel not good enough means I cannot fit what they need at work, my performance will never be good to my manager, or what I have as work today is not good enough for me. How does that manifest? You're gonna find a husband or wife or a boyfriend and a girlfriend in a relationship who never satisfied with his current work, always try to leave this work because it is holding him or her from finding a better opportunity. Ambitions is good, but insecurity in job relation is not good. And that's a very fine line between the two. How do you define? Number one, is it a pattern? Every work you go, you complain about it and then you want to move out, and in a few months you want to find something else? Or you hold to this job and cannot move forward to a better job because you are insecure as well about what this job is providing. So insecurity when it comes to work is like that. I don't know if I explain it ولا لا, but this is what it is. How does it manifest in relationship? Well, you better have somebody in relationship who is secure when it comes to his income, source of money. Because you cannot build the life with somebody who will work for a month and stay at home for 2 years because he doesn't feel good enough to fit with that job. Or that the job is not treating him well. Well, we need to start somewhere. We need to have a secure income to bill our bills. If you want to do better, but don't leave this job until you find something better. I know this is not the reason of our talk today, but this is how insecurity manifests itself at work. في حاجة اسمها body image insecurity. I never feel happy about how my body looks. And this will lead to either eating disorder or focus so much on makeup and hairstyle and dresses, or doing the opposite. Trying, because I am not good enough, I don't want to be visible, so I hide myself under my mask. Or I want to be very attractive and people will hate the way I look today, so I do something funky. I mustn't dye my hair in a very, very fervent color, or can I say? I can't say everything I want to say. I walk in a drip pants مثلا that doesn't cover myself. It's insecurity. Or I walk in a shirt without underpants. This is insecurity. Sometimes I look, and obviously I get this in counseling sessions. People do that. And I want to be different. I want to be attractive. Sometimes it's a challenge. It's a dare. But that's insecurity. Go ahead.
It is insecurity and disrespectable to yourself.
My insecurity. I don't feel good enough about myself.
They don't feel it as disrespect to themselves, but they feel because they are insecure, then they do something odd.
Funk. Something very odd.
Yeah.
Attraction.
Yes, to attract whoever.
يعني without طبعا insulting anybody, but this is insecurity. And it is in our era now, this is the trend of the era. I don't want to share much, but honestly speaking, all the dares that I hear about in confession and counseling sessions, it's all there that how can you go naked on the street? How can you take off your underwear? مش عارف فين. What is happening here? This is insecurity. حاجة اسمها social insecurity. Obviously, social insecurity in a relationship, people will be avoiding any social interaction, or people will actually try to participate in every social interaction possible because they feel insecure about themselves. Is this better or that? The balance is better. Having a balanced, wise presence is good. Sometimes social insecurity can push people to have what we call virtual social presence, where people spend all their time, all their effort, all their life in social media because they don't have a social security, a real social security. I think we can have enough for today, and we can, for like 5 minutes ولا حاجة, open the floor for question or comment. This will be part 2, the signs of insecurities and how we deal with them. Go ahead. I was waiting for you.
real talk.
Yes, I know. I love how you feel secure to talk.
Yeah. Some parts of me, I'm like, oh, I'm right, shut up, stop talking so much. But I'm just like, it's okay. I'm just gonna share and listen to other people too. I just wanted to share like a few of the things that I think are like things we can leave the room and do to help ourselves feel more secure.
Yes.
One of them is it's difficult because it involves trust, and trust is hard, but it's also just faith, and that's kind of what we're all here about.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so I was just gonna say, trust in the love that you see in others for you. Like sometimes we are so focused on the ways that we're like not looking good or maybe whatever, but people have actually quite often, and if we're lucky, a lot of room for you to just exist, and like people show love in different ways or whatever. So it's just to be able to be like, I feel weird and bad, but I'm going to trust that this person's smile is like because they have love for me or they care for me.
It's beautiful.
And you feel more secure. That's really nice.
That's beautiful.
You can like foster that too by saying like hi to people and then making the connections happen, and that's nice.
Absolutely. Actually, something I like about Canadian culture is usually Canadian, they have to find something to compliment you about. Yani, when we first came to Canada here like 20 something years ago, I was fascinated when I find people in the banks or in the grocery stores, they always compliment about something. I like your shirt, I like your smile, oh, your eye look مش عارف إيه, your shoes is مش عارف إيه. And every time you make this comment, I was fascinated. Wow, there is a positive compliment here. And actually this is beautiful, and this is kindness. You go to US مثلا, they always find something to hit you with. يعني different culture. Yes, German. Yes, German will find something to criticize you with. Yes, go ahead.
Like, I don't think it's a compliment. I think like it comes from the heart. Like they actually mean it. Compared, like for example, our Egyptian community where we compliment but we don't mean it.
It's well, يعني it's a beautiful, honest point. طبعا, what is more important than the compliment is the truth behind it. When we mean that, genuinely, طبعا.
No, because I didn't grow up in Egypt, so.
ايه تاني? What else? Another few comments or questions. Go ahead. اتفضلي. اتفضلي حبيبتي.
I think like maybe more for Christians, not for everyone, but insecurity maybe comes from lack of faith and
برافو عليك.
from God.
برافو عليك.
And I feel even for other people, maybe someone like they have everything but still feels like insecure.
Yeah.
But they don't know why. So I mean, in my opinion, I feel like being with God will make you very secure, because you will feel that everything, if you trust and believe that everything in God's hands, then like nothing to worry about.
Absolutely,
I mean,
حبيبتي.
you do your part. You do
Absolutely.
what you can, but at the end, you trust in God.
Our source of security should be the foundation of faith in Christ. That's why NWCYC this year we call it Rooted in Faith, Growing in Christ. I'll share with you a small tiny thing. يعني like 2 weeks ago كده, I was chatting with an amazing girl, and she was so down because of how people around her, including mom and dad, keeps telling her that she is never good enough, and every comment people make around her is all about that she is never good enough. I'll tell her, why don't you search for anybody who says something good about you? And lately, non-existence. I spent like few minutes with her. Okay, friends, no. Family, no. Neighbors, no. Colleagues at work, no. مش عارف. في الآخر خلاص قلت لها, you know what يا حبيبي, you received an email from me, but that email I forwarded from God. How about you open Song of Songs 4:7? This is a message from God to you. فراحت فتحها. In that verse, طبعا Solomon, or in that case بقى God talking to the human soul and saying, behold, you are altogether lovely, my fair dove. There is no spot in you. As soon as she looked at it, wow, is this for me? Tell her, this is how God sees you. Why don't you print it, put it in front of you on the wall, and every time you think less of yourself, look at that and tell yourself, behold, you are altogether lovely, my fair dove, there is no spot in you. 2 weeks after she called me, she was laughing, happy, صدقيني. بقول لها ايه, what is the change? What happened between these 2 weeks? Last time we couldn't find enough place for your tears. Today you are laughing. قالت لي I changed my views. I don't care about what people say if this is how God sees me. فthis is how God sees you. That's beautiful. علاء وبعدين انت. اتفضل.
I'll just build on your comment. At a very young age, somebody was so kind to get me to memorize Psalm 23. It starts with, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall never want. That was the foundation of, I have resources in Him and I shall never want. All what I have to do is to open the door and let Him in. And that made me able to take off the shirt of insecurity at the end of my day and throw it and say, you know what, you can finish it, you can do it, you are able, you exist, you love me and you are able to do it, and you said that you're my shepherd and I shall never want. I think this is where, even when we say lack of, we have 4 lack of support, lack of emotion, lack of, it could be lack of earthly one, but it's not lack of holy one. And it could be not the lack, it's our inability to see what is sent to us from God through, and we're just choosing to see the negatives and see the small things. So it becomes like we are lacking that support, not because it was not given to us, because we didn't have the eye to see it, we didn't have the right mindset to see it, we didn't have the resources to see it. So all what I'm trying to say is, just to build on your comment that Psalm 23, I never knew how much that helped me throughout my life, but I think this is my cornerstone.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful as well.
No matter what happens, I know that He is my shepherd, and I shall never want.
Yeah, the verse that I was talking about says here, you are all fair, my love, and there is no spot in you. Beautiful and no spot in you. That's how God sees you. كل جميلة وليس فيك عيب. إيه؟ 4:7, 4:7. Song of Songs 4:7. It's beautiful. This is, if everybody around me tells me you are ugly, you are fat, you are bad, you are a failure, you are. You know what? Who cares about what people say? Let's care more about what God says. He said that you are fair, no spotting. Any other comment? كنت عايز أقول حاجة.
I would like just to highlight one thing.
Yes.
Because I feel I went through this fight before. Our nature, God created us, and I don't know, it's like by creation or it's our nature, whatever. We feel fears, we feel insecure. So I believe that's why it mentioned in the Bible 365 times.
I am with you. Don't be afraid. طبعا. طبعا.
But still there is a healthy
worry. طبعا يا حبيبتي. طبعا.
So it's a silver line. But because in some point people, when they feel afraid or fear, they feel they lost the connection with God, but it's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing, sometimes when I have nothing to lift up my insecurity in somehow, I found one way for me, it's very amazing. Go and serve. When you serve, I don't know how come or how it happened.
That's the compassion she was talking about. Yes, okay, that's it. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Because when we are serving, we are actually getting ourselves off our own encapsulated being, and we are sharing ourselves with others. And for that, God will reward us somehow, that we are not alone in this world. Insecurity comes from a feeling that you are lonely and what you have is enough and you are not safe. That's a beautiful point. Go ahead.
I just want to build on that too, because I think that it's so important. Which is that, like, we are nervous systems and we are smart, and like my dad keeps saying, like, sometimes it's not that there's a lack of something, it's just that we don't see it or we can't see it, but actually sometimes it's not that we can't see it, we're just so focused on safety, because in our bodies we're like, this is how you find safety. And so like, yeah, these things that we have are really important and adaptive and like whatever. And so it really is just sometimes about being that safety cornerstone for yourself and saying, no, it's okay, you are safe. And like, let me create these conditions to make that feel real. So sometimes like, yeah, like serving people is good, or like going outside and looking at something, looking at a tree, or being like, actually, I really want to take rest right now. I'm really tired and grumpy, and I have all this stuff to do, but I need to lay down, so I'm going to do that. All of these things help us to build like trust in ourselves. And the other thing with that, and the other thing that I think is a good thing to leave the room with, is like a really good way to create less insecurity in yourself is by seeing children and being like, there is room for you. There is room for you to be loud and crazy and have a dysregulated nervous system and be tired and not know what you're doing, because we are the adults and we can help you figure out how to manage those things. Do you need to eat something? Do you need to lay down? Do you need to be given words of comfort? Do you need to be told that you're like good? All of these things we can do for the children in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because we need to do that for ourselves as well.
Let's be friend with our inner child a little bit and let us understand the needs and just fulfill those needs. That's beautiful. Any other thing. في بسبوسة كمان. بسبوسة will make us all secure طبعا.
Practical experience that we are celebrating the gifts of God.
دي طيب لو ما فيش اي سؤال تاني، احنا طبعا خدنا النهارده as just part 1 for insecurity. معلش انا I like more ان احنا we talk because we build as you all did on one another, and that's what creates security. Is when we build something on one another.
Thank you, Abu.
Let us stand and pray, and next time we're gonna deal with insecurity, or maybe Meret will talk to us about the inner child. How can we take him with us, pray with him a little bit? Yeah. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Thank you, God, for always allowing us to meet your lovely sons and daughters. Oh Lord, if we talk about insecurity, we need to understand that the true security is that we are built on the foundation, on you. A strong cornerstone, O Lord, that will hold us and keep us safe and sound. A cornerstone of understanding that our values is in you, not outside. A cornerstone, O Lord, that connect us with people around us to build on one another, to rely on one another, not to feel alone or left behind. A cornerstone, O Lord, that you will allow us to see, as you did today, to see that we are not barren lands. No, there is still a little lad with 5 loaves and 2 fish in the midst of all, and there is a source of blessing that will feed the multitude and even be sufficient for future. We pray, O Lord, that you let us understand that our security is in you, not in anything else, and our insecurity when it comes from people around us, that you forgive them and you heal them through the intercession of Theotokos, Saint Mary, John the Baptist, and all the saints, Saint Mina, Saint Lopatir, Saint Mark, and Pope Kyrillos. Hear us and pray, thank you, our Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, kingdom come. المفروض نقول ماريمورس الأول، بس أنا قلت ماريمينا، بعد كده قلت مش هنزعل ماريمورس عشان كده عدناه يعني ده رانكينج بالريسبكت.
احنا مش مركزين قوي. فهمنا غلط.
كل سنة وانتم طيبين وربنا يفرحكم. بس بعد ما قلت ماريمينا قلت هنزعل ماريمورس ليه؟ ما يصحش يعني.
سابونا ممكن يا ريت تكون حاضر بس
So nice to see you. أخبارك وحشة.
ما كانتش عارفه اول مره ده
أنا بعرف الشهر كده.
بس انا ما ببصش على الايميلات كتير
الواحد بيبص 50,000
مش بفتح كل حاجه انا عندي ايميل واحد
طبعا
يعني
طبعا
انا اخد سكيورتي منهم حاجه
ايوه
انا
طبعا
اجحدهم
صعب
مش عارفه يعني انا
يعني
النهارده مش عارفه افهم